All right, so we're recording. Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Nico Moreno here, and today I have an incredible, awesome, super special guest for you guys to hear. We have Cris Cawley. So, Cris, want to go ahead and say hello?
Hi guys, how are you? Nice to be here. Thanks for having me, Nico.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Cris has done some incredible things in her lifetime, and she is still doing incredible things right now. And it's actually funny. We just realized we both live in the Dallas Fort Worth area. So it's kind of funny. We're going to meet up in person sometime. She's about to go on vacation, but yeah, I'm super excited to bring her on here. And I think this is going to be really inspirational and relevant to a lot of you guys who are watching right now. So, Cris, do you want to just quickly kind of give us a 2 or 3 minute rundown of who you are and what you do?
Sure, absolutely. Well, hey guys, excited to be here today. I am a digital marketer. I've been in the internet marketing space since the year 2000. Yes, that makes me old. No, it's been a long time. And I started this business with a simple ebook of all things. I remember the first time I saw an ebook and I was like, oh my gosh, that's the most incredible thing ever. And it wasn't really the content. It was by a well-known name, a guy that's out there today that everybody knows. But, it wasn't really the content that I was blown away with. It was the fact that you could generate something and then sell it. I think back then he was selling it for like $7, I thought to myself, oh, he sold 300 today and 100 the next day and 100 the next day. So to do the work one time and then make money again and again and again, that concept just like, I was like, man, that is the way to go. So I started in my own business and in 2000 and built that business up through 2010 and sold it. Over that time, we amassed 155,000 clients and we had over 150 digital products. So I know a thing or two about creating digital products and coaching. And of course, as you become, you get into this business, you have products, but then I kind of missed back in my job days when I had the people, the connection, the interaction. And so we started coaching and that sort of thing. I left this internet marketing space after I sold my business for a few years and then came back because we don't realize what we have. The grass is always greener. You never realize how great you have it. And then you leave and you go, man, I really missed that life where I had just my laptop and my cell phone and I could work from anywhere. So I love this space. I have 3 kids. I'm a mom, I'm busy. I travel a lot. And I love the fact that we can basically work from anywhere, work when we want, how we want, whenever we want. So I really appreciate that about it. And I've come back, about 2 years ago, I started a company called Digital Course Rockstar and teaching people to create high-ticket coaching programs and digital courses. And, it's funny. Everybody, I feel like today, Nico, everybody wants to be a coach or a consultant and not so much have a course, and that's totally cool. But the course is really a foundation of where those coaching programs come from, or those pillars, or those buckets, whatever you're teaching is sort of like your course. And then the high ticket coaching, of course, is where the money is. So we teach students both of those things. And I love it. I love this business and happy to be here. So.
That's awesome. Yeah, and I think you said something that's really important and something that I didn't think of when I created my first course is that you have this opportunity to kind of position yourself as the expert and offer higher ticket services. It gives you more confidence in charging more with like higher ticket one-on-one.
Absolutely. Kind of like the old days, it was more like the corporate consulting, the big time consulting people or consultants, and you make a lot of money doing that. Same thing with high ticket, the coaching. It really isn't how you put your message out there and your offer and how you position yourself, but you can command, high ticket. We've sold everything from $37 ebooks to $50,000 coaching programs. So it's definitely in how it's put out there and how you position yourself. And the great thing is anybody can do this. We have authors and speakers and coaches and people who just say, hey, I'm really good at this. But sometimes people don't realize that they're an expert and that they could actually command or monetize that know-how and that expertise. So it's fun to watch those light bulbs go off for people,
Yeah, absolutely. And so now that you brought up that story of kind of how you had that light bulb moment about about $7 ebook, I'm curious, like what was that product and what was kind of like your journey into realizing, hey, this is possible and then coming to realize that it's possible for you too.
Yeah, no doubt. Absolutely. So it's funny that ebook was about making money online, which I knew nothing about. I was working a job just had my first baby. So I was like, I'd love to be home with my baby. I want to be one of those stay-home moms. So I thought, but I wanted to work from home. I wanted to monetize, make money. But I didn't know anything about making money online. So I was like, well, I can't do what he does. But I do know a thing or two about real estate. And at that time, it's funny, I was young. I'm still young, right? but I was really young. And there was a guy that was sort of a mentor to me, a multi-millionaire in the real estate investment business. And I had shadowed him. I had basically worked for free and just shadowed him for free for about a year and learned the business. And at that time, when I saw that ebook, we had a couple properties. And I thought to myself, I could teach people what I've learned and how someone took me under their wing and taught me the ways I could teach someone what I've learned about real estate. So I took what I knew, and I was still growing. I was still being mentored. I was still learning. I was still learning to do deals. But that's ultimately what I chose, because I knew, I had made, I think my first deal I made $9,000, and I'm like, I'm not an expert yet, but I'm learning. So as I started learning and getting better, we did our first 6-figure deal, and I was invited to speak somewhere. And I thought, okay, if someone's inviting me to speak, that means I probably have a little bit of authority, or I know a thing or two about this. And then that's kind of set things off for me. I spoke at that event, got invited to speak at another event, speak on a webinar, that sort of thing. But I just took what I knew. I felt like, what is it that I know? What is it that I'm an expert in? Or what is it that I feel like? And I think a lot of people have this issue, like, I don't know if I'm an expert, or I don't know, what am I good at? I feel like that's for a lot of folks, people that are brand new, or maybe just starting, or maybe they're in the corporate world and they're wanting to get into this business. They feel like, what could I teach? What am I an expert in? We're all good at something. We all have a calling. We all have a gift in something, or we all know something. And that's just what I had the most knowledge about,
Right.
And so I took it from there and created my first product, literally on how to wholesale a deal, and made an ebook. And I'd also, before that, I was a recruiter. I had been like a recruiter, like a corporate recruiter. I did an ebook on that because I was like, I know that business really well, but I was working in the JOB world. But it's funny how, that little product earned me over 6 figures. It was just like literally back then, it was like a Word doc turned into a PDF with a pretty cover. That was the extent of it when I first started, It graduated into, now it's all about video and membership areas and coaching programs and modules, and but it went from ebook to physical products, like, hey, come to our event, you go home with a big bag of books and tapes, to now it's like you log into a members area and you have your videos. And today, of course, video is much a bigger piece of it than just the ebooks and such, but it's just information. And then if you have, you're able to share it and teach it, and show people how to get from amateur to expert, and give them that pathway to do so, there you are, there's your business. So it's pretty incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to hear more about what you've noticed as far as how the content is actually delivered and how the information is delivered, because you were kind of talking about how it all started out with like ebooks, and then it kind of transitioned to like physical CDs. And that's actually really interesting to me, because I remember a lot of my aunt particularly was someone who would go to like a lot of these personal development seminars. And so I remember like,
come home with the books and the tapes and the bag.
Yeah, always have like the tapes and stuff like that. Yeah. Totally.
Yes. That was very much that. And I remember, it's so funny, because like I had my first ebook, and we were putting it online. And I mean, back in the day, I taught myself to build websites. We were like coding, thank God for ClickFunnels now, right? But back in the day, we were building like our own websites. I learned PHP 5 and the whole, so it was kind of nuts back then. It was a little crazy. But it's funny how that evolved into those physical products. And I remember seeing those products, like books, like you would open it and you'd have books and CDs and tapes. And I was like, what is that called? And I was Googling like clamshell and this and that. And then we found some, a few like fulfillment centers. It was like, what is that called? How do I get my product on a CD or on a book, like that sort of thing. So even that part of it, I felt like it took me a while to learn it. But once I got it, here we were at seminars selling, $20,000 and $30,000 worth of product in a day, which was incredible, right? So it's interesting how that went. And now, even at events, I feel like there's some physical products. Even now, if you've noticed, like the thing now is like to have a book, like a small little book. Some of the big names are doing like a small book, and you just pay, it's free, and you pay shipping and handling $6 or whatever. You're getting your address, your information. But it is interesting to watch how it's evolved from literally like an ebook. It wasn't really a product back then. It was an ebook and a teleseminar. They were teleseminar files, which is today just a modern day podcast, right? Just audio, but they were audio files that and an ebook went going to physical products. And now it's, I kind of think it's kind of cool. What's cool about now, I feel like, is like with membership areas, like the tools and the technology that, and we had WordPress back then, and we had membership sites and plugins and things like that. But now with like things like ClickFunnels or other tools that people use, the information is put into there, but it's repurposed. I like how you can do a Facebook Live, you can do a Zoom call, you can do a YouTube video, and use that content in multiple places. You know what I mean? That's pretty cool. Whereas back then it really wasn't. You could kind of do that, but the repurposing the content today, I feel, is really powerful, and the ability to put it in ClickFunnels and like yesterday, I'm doing a new coaching program, and we were putting the modules in there, and I thought, you know what? As I recorded them, I didn't even put module 1, module 2, module 3, module 4. I just put, this is what the content, this is the name of what we're teaching, because later on I can go back and add in another module in there. I can record something else and go, oh, you know what? I need to add this in and slip it in there. You know what I mean? It's pretty easy to repurpose, to move things around, take content from one course, pour it into another course if it's relevant, that sort of thing. Coaching programs, the same thing. You can kind of take from everywhere. So I think it's more versatile. It's more, I guess it's just more, it's more usable, if you will, you know what I mean? It's kind of cool how we can do that these days. And of course the power of Facebook Live and LinkedIn Live and all these great tools. I see coaching programs now that are and just packaged with, make the video kind of pretty and then putting it in their coaching program. And it was just a bunch of lives, it's really not, it's not so much about, I think a lot of people get hung up on the content. How do they do that? How do they make it all pretty? It's just the value that you're bringing and that you're delivering, and the nuggets and the information and the how-to. And my focus as a coach has always been take them from, amateur to expert. So make sure whatever all that content in between is the pathway to making them an expert, and giving them, here's where you're going to start, here's where you want to be, and here's how you're going to get there. And all that content is how you get there, but it's specific, actionable information that can actually give people what they need, and at the end of it, they truly get that result that they're after. I think that's the most important thing, is that they're getting, not that you sold 100 courses, but somebody actually got results and was able to go from where they were to where they wanted to be. I think that should be the focus anytime you set out to do courses or coaching.
Right, absolutely. I love that. And I feel like, I can't remember the exact quote, but I've heard the sort of analogy, like, when you're talking about a vacation, like you don't sell the actual, like the seat that you're going to be sitting in to like fly over there. You're selling Hawaii, right?
Yes.
Nobody cares about like.
You're not selling. Yeah, I think that's Alex Hormozy. Alex is a friend of mine, and he always says, don't sell that. You're not going to tell people, hey, you're going to stop at TSA and you're going to take your shoes off and you're going to take your computer out of your bag and you're going to go through this and you're going to do that. You're going to do that. You're just selling the end result. You're going to be laying on a beach with a Mai Tai in your hand. You know what I mean? And looking at the sun and the sand and the palm trees. So yeah, you're not. It's all of that. I think people sometimes get caught up in all of that. The minutia of all of that, but it's really the end result is all that matters. Here's where I am. Here's where I want to go. How do I get there? And then that bridge is the content and the information and the nuggets and the golden, the bombs of information, the value bombs of information, all packaged together. And as long as every step, I felt like back in the old days, listen to me. But back when I started, people would kind of dangle. Everybody was so afraid to deliver information because they were like, well, that's what I'm selling. I don't want to give away too much information. I just want to dangle the carrot and give them enough to make them want to buy. And I've never really been a big believer of that philosophy. I feel like if you give and somebody gets results from something that's free or that's really simple, just think how good the paid content is. If I'm giving it, if I got this free ebook and I got, wow, and I actually got a great result from it, I'm going to be like, man, that was great content. I'm going to go back for more. So I feel like the philosophy, I feel like that's a good philosophy to have as a coach or, as a digital course expert.
Totally. Absolutely. And I'm curious, Criss, since I know that you've worked with a lot of different people from probably a lot of different backgrounds, what are some like mindset blocks or trends that you maybe have noticed from people who are wanting to get started, but they're for whatever reason, they're not able to get
Yes,
started?
that's a great question. So the big things we see, and again, my first business, we had 155,000 students who had paid us for something. So we
Mhm.
worked with a lot of people at a very high level and at just a very basic level. And the big things that we see, and when you talk to someone about being a high ticket coach, or even creating something as simple as a digital course, which to you or I seems quite simple, right? The big thing is well, what am I trying to figure out? What would my course be on? What am I an expert in? What am I good at? Oh, I could never teach. I'm not a good teacher. I'm not a teacher either. I'm able to take content and show you how I do something, but I'm not like a school teacher. I have no formal teacher training, but I'm good at saying, here's where you are. That's where I was too. Here's where you want to go, and this is how you do it. And we use, handy dandy whiteboard, and we use video, and we show somebody and teach somebody, give them the exact steps that it takes. So I think that's a big one. Just people thinking, I can't do this. I'm not an expert. I don't have any skills. I don't, you know what I mean? The other thing is it's the people who are in the 9-to-5 job setting feel like, well, I don't have time for this. I don't have time. I work full time. But those are the people that are still not happy about their life or where they are, and they want more, but they're not able to do it. And I feel like, once you can mentally get that person to maybe just shift their mindset just a little bit, and just spend an hour a night when you come home from work, and I know how hard that is with 3 kids. Trust me, I get it.
Yeah.
It's organized chaos every day at my house after 3:30. I get it. But I feel like just even a half hour a night, a half hour a day, 2 or 3 hours a week, just little bitty baby steps can equal big results at the end of the day. And how long does it take? I mean, for me, like when I'm doing video content, I literally just take 4 or 5 hours in a day and I just knock it out. I teach. You know what I mean? So everybody has a few hours here or there where they could do that. But I think time is a big one. So, I don't have the time. I'm not an expert. A lot of people feel like, because there's so many high ticket coaching programs, and it is very, it's a busy space online, right? That people feel like they don't have the money. It's expensive to learn. It's going to cost me too much. I don't have the money. And I always feel like, well, you can't afford not to. And there's always the right coach for you with the right budget, the right person, that sort of thing. And I would say the last thing would be, everybody thinks it's so saturated. It's too saturated. There's too many coaches. There's already a lot of coaches, too many people that teach this, too many people that teach that. And that's just not true. There are a lot of, it's a very, online marketing, it's grown so much. It is more competitive. It is more saturated than it used to be. But I always tell people I'm one of the ones who, I've been around, like one of the pioneers. I've been around for a long, long time. There's a lot out there, but there's a lot of garbage. You know what I mean? So if you go out there and you make a difference in the world, and you put stuff out there and you give it your all, and you're giving every single thing that people need, not just dangling carrots, and you're really providing value and helping people and serving people, you stand out you're like way up here, and everybody else is way down here or over here. You know what I mean? So it's not too saturated. And I say that from firsthand experience, and leaving for 7 years and then coming back and now having, several hundred students that we coach and mentor. But everybody, those 4 things, I feel like hold a lot of people back when you're talking about the masses.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I still remember like kind of when I was just very first getting started, I purchased like a $47 like video course.
Sure.
Yeah. And like, I'm trying to put myself back in that space and just remind myself now, like, hey, for every person like me who's like wanting to teach something, there's 10 new people out there who are just kind of realizing that they could make money online. And there's 10 new people who are wanting to learn.
Yep. There's always, I think there will always be people that nobody loves the 9-to-5 job, and it's so funny. When I got started, I always thought it was about the money. You know what I mean? I thought it was about the money. And yes, money makes our lives easier. But really what we're after, and why people don't like their 9-to-5 jobs, is they want the freedom to do with their time as they choose. And they want to work from wherever they want, when they want. That's what money affords us, right? And that's what this business affords us. That's what's so attractive about it. So there's always people that are like, oh my gosh, I hate my job. I'm fed up. You know what I mean? Or I miss all my kids' games, or I miss all of my, and I get it. I was a mom, and, that's when I started. So I was like, I have a baby now. I don't want to be clocking in and driving 2 hours to work each day and 2 hours home each day. I got that. And I feel like, just like you said, you got started with a $47 ebook, and that for you or whoever, everybody, kind of the light bulb, just like me, that $7 ebook, the light bulbs just went off, and I went, hey, wait, if that guy can do this, why can't I do this? And it's true. It's really, it's available to anyone. I think mindset, though, is a big piece of it. You're exactly right. Just being open to the idea, and being a little more, again, 90% of life is what happens to you, right? The other 10% is how you react to it or how you perceive it. So I feel like if your perception is, hey, maybe I can do this, people's lives can change, which is pretty incredible.
Absolutely. Yeah. If you can just see something in a different way.
Absolutely. Open to receiving it a different way, or seeing it from a different perspective. That's right. That's huge. Huge.
Absolutely. So Criss, I also want to hear a little bit more about, so I know that you've kind of made this transition. You sold, your big initial company. You sold that, and then kind of like took some time off and moved into this, a newer second business. Can you talk a little bit about kind of that, once you were about to sell that company, or what the decision was like, and then, starting up this newer venture, and then how that's going?
Well, the brick and mortar, I built my internet marketing business and sold it. Then I built my brick and mortar business and made that a nationwide company. That I sold that. And now I've been back into the digital world and coaching world for 2 years. So you're asking me, what was the transition like, or what
Yeah, well, I think one thing that I'm personally curious of is what was the process like of selling your internet marketing business, the first one?
Yeah, well, I guess we all, back then, it was kind of in the .com days when everyone was building companies and selling them for hundreds of millions. And I didn't sell for hundreds of millions, but I made a very, very, very nice profit. And what's funny is everything that I sold was a digital asset. It was a digital. It wasn't like anything physical. It was just all digital. And then, of course, my list of clients and that sort of thing. And I think the hardest part was the clients, because you develop relationships, you develop friendships, you develop connections. I did live events. I knew a lot of these people. I had masterminds and inner circles and all of these things before they were popular, and I had relationships. So that was a tough part, because I left that industry completely and went off into a just more of a passion business, But I've always thought from the beginning, I want to build it to sell it. I thought that's what I wanted. Coming back, I can tell you, I'll never sell my business. This will be it. This is what I came back to this, not realizing, I guess the grass I thought was greener on the brick and mortar side, and the big fancy office that everybody thinks they want, all the employees. And I'm here to tell you that is not freedom. That is not, and the original thing I was after, when I was, 20, early 20s was money, money, money. And then I realized that as I got older, I'm like, it's really the freedom I'm after. The money's affording me that opportunity. So I had set out with the intent, thinking someday I'll sell this business, but it kind of happened by accident. So I actually I built it. I was speaking on stages. I was doing infomercials, writing books. I did the whole thing. But the travel, I did Zoom calls and webinars, 20 a week, and I was just burned out. I'll be honest with you, I just burned out. And somebody randomly, we were kind of joking at a live event, and somebody randomly said something about buying my business. And I was like, oh yeah, right. I was kind of like, yeah, right. And ultimately it worked out. That I thought, wow, it kind of happened sooner. I wasn't sure I was ready for that. But at the same time, at that time, I started with barely one baby. I had 3 babies. At the time I sold it, I was like, okay, I would love to be able to just raise my kiddos and be at home. What I didn't know is that when I sold it, went off into brick and mortar land, I had less time, less freedom, more employees, more responsibilities, going to an office every day. Now I just work from the comfort of my home office. Man, never trade it for the world. But yeah, I think if you're setting out to sell it, I think you do some things differently from the beginning. I had strategized with a mergers and acquisitions attorney, somebody who had actually said, if you're building a business to sell, building up the continuity, things like that. So we had membership programs. We had a large monthly continuity that was coming in. We had high ticket items. We had low ticket items. So diversifying was key. So, and I think that's something I learned at that point, and it's served me well in my brick and mortar. And now as I've come back, I still have low ticket items. I have high ticket coaching. I have continuity programs. You want to have all of those things if you're planning to sell a business at some point. So it's fun to build, and I built a software that, we built up and had so many users on and sold. So things like that. That's kind of it's like the thrill of the chase. I enjoy that, but I will say I will live in the digital product space till I'm 100. I'm never leaving again, I promise. But maybe you build up a software company or a coaching program and you sell it, that sort of thing. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I would just say kind of strategize in the beginning. And again, I think the biggest lesson I learned from that attorney early on was diversification and having like a software product or something that makes it sticky and that continuity. And then having really high ticket items, and then having your low ticket items like for consistent sales. And then the high ticket items are really what really pad the business and make it and help you scale. Mm-hmm. So I think those are good words of advice. And I've taken those into my last couple of companies. And I do love that, the building and selling thing. But again, after, the big dream and then hitting the dream and then coming back, I'm like, okay, and then, this is, somebody was trying to show me something, so I did take point and take lesson and now we're back, and it's just fun for me now. It's just about helping people, serving people, teaching people. And it's fun to watch others go from sometimes a state of despair or just really not a very sunny disposition, not loving their life, not loving their job, not making money, and watching people's, eyes light up and, somebody coming to a live event and in tears going, this changed my life. That's what it's about. Those connections, those stories, it's very powerful. And that's my why behind the business and why I love it so much,
Yeah, absolutely. So Criss, will you tell us more then about your current business as a digital course rockstar?
Sure. So we now currently, we take on, most of our clients are either, and I say expert, meaning they just have a field of expertise. Like a lot of people come from a 9-to-5 job who have worked in an HR role and they're saying, I'm really good at this. How do I package that? Sometimes you just need a little bit of education on what can I teach? You know what I mean? I'm an expert. Here's what I do. They just need someone to kind of pull it out of them and help them. So we have experts, consultants, authors, speakers, a lot of entrepreneurs, people who are already entrepreneurs, and sometimes people who have coaching businesses or courses who just aren't making money. They're not able, they've done it, but they're not able to monetize and they don't understand why, or they think they've just spent all this money on ads to make it work. So we teach all of those people how to create and then market, because you can create a course or a coaching program that if you don't market it properly, you don't make any money, right? So how to create it, how to market it, and then how to profit and scale a digital course and high ticket coaching program. So those are what we do. So we have our own digital courses and high ticket coaching programs, and we teach people how to do that and how we've done that over the last 20 years. So that's it in a nutshell, really. I mean, it's everything from the basics of what could I teach on to creating the offer, creating the messaging, getting it out there and creating the outline, doing the back end and that sort of thing, and how to do it. Everybody gets hung up on the tech. That's another hang up. You were saying what keeps people. That's a huge one. That was my thing. I'm like, I'm so not techie. I was buying those HTML and PHP for Dummies books, 20 years ago, trying to learn it. Today, I wouldn't attempt that if my life depended on it. I'm like, okay, where's Fiverr? Where are my guys that can do this? I hire people like you to do chatbot. You know what I mean? Because you're the expert, right? So you go hire the experts to do that. You don't get hung up on that stuff. But that's a big one. But yeah, just taking them through the entire process from, hey, they have nothing to now we have something that's monetizing, and help them create 6, 7, and 8-figure businesses. So that's what we do. That's what I do, and that's what I love, and that's where we are today. It's called Digital Course Rockstar, and we actually, it's funny because everyone, we branded initially thinking just digital courses, and about 90% of our first 100 students, 90 of them were like, I want to be a high-ticket coach. I'm like, okay. So we did that, and then we broke off the coaching into something called the Edge Coaching Academy. So that's what we're doing, and it's been a fun ride, Nico. We love it. I love this business. What's not to love, right?
Right. Yeah, that's so amazing. And you get to have such an incredible impact, not just on the people that you're working with, but like their families too.
Their families and their lives. We did this thing where we brought in people's kids. We invited their kids, kind of like a more intimate thing where everybody brought like some of them weren't teenagers, but a lot of them were, and showing them how to do this, and actually getting them their business up and going where they made their first sale. And it's like, that is incredible, like affecting the next generation and watching people's, it just proves to the people, like the parents, like, okay, if my kid can do this, I can do it. But and that's something I want to impart I want to teach them these skills, because it's so much easier. I think it's important for people to have choices. If they don't want to go to college, or if they don't want to get a 9-to-5 job, I'm not saying college is good or bad, but it's just nice to have options in life. You know what I mean? And honestly, I've made more money doing this than what I went to college for, that I could probably ever have earned going to college. So, and I did go, but it's like, there's a lot of benefits to working in the online space, and there really is a way, and anybody can do it, which is nice. It's just a matter of getting the right information, finding somebody who'll take you under their wing, and just learning and doing, and implementation, of course. Execution is key. So yeah, it's been great. It's fun. It's fun to impact lives, change kids' lives, people's futures. It's pretty, that's the stuff that warms my heart and makes me go, I'm making a difference in the world. So not only am I doing something I love, but I'm making a positive impact on this crazy place we live in, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny because I've been making the transition into high ticket coaching as well. And yeah, there's a lot of, really all it is mindset work. And so one thing that I've been focusing on is, if I really believe that I can help this person, it's my duty to help them. And it's my duty to help them so that they can create this incredible life, like for their kids and for their families, like forever.
Yeah. You're doing them a disservice by not helping and not sharing, and not, because there's only so much a course can do. The coaching really bridges the gap and helps people go. It's just like anything. If I were to say, hey, Nico, I'm going to teach you how to do this, and you can either read this book or you can come to my office for every day for a week, and I'll just take it under my wing. You can watch me do it, and I'll teach you everything I know. Obviously, you know what I mean? Obviously. And the great thing about that is you can do it virtually. We can do it through Zoom rooms and things like this. So you don't have to. I have clients all over the world. It doesn't matter. So that's what's beautiful. So yeah, the coaching is a big piece of it. But I think it's what you said. That's a big mental hurdle. People think, well, I know it, but I don't know if I'm good enough to teach it. I don't know if I can teach someone else. And it's like, you're doing it. You're doing it. You have clients that pay you to do this. So all it is teaching them exactly how and exactly what. So you're right. Mindset is a big, it's like, dang, get out of your own way. You know what I mean? And we have to pull people through that sometimes, because that's a big piece of it. It's a big struggle for people, a lot of people.
Yeah, absolutely. So Criss, I want to ask, what's one thing, I think this will actually probably inspire a lot of people, or get people who are maybe sitting there, like they're kind of like on the fence and they're wondering like, well, can I actually do this? Like, what are some of the most like quirky or unique or like even weird like course ideas or business ideas that you've seen out there? Because I think
you're opening up a can of worms. Yeah, I see some really crazy stuff, Nico. I see some really different stuff. So, and it's not my job. I'm not judging. I've helped these people, make money, and then I sometimes am surprised myself by the niches that they pick. But in the beginning, when somebody comes to and we're coaching them, we talk about niche validation. We're validating up front, kind of like, a lot of people teach the whole, you don't even have to have a course, just go out there and sell it and then create it as you go. We don't do that, but you do have to validate it. You have to make sure there's a marketplace for it and there are people for it. And some of these niches, I think to myself, oh my gosh, something will come out of somebody's mouth and I think, no way. You know what I mean? But then we start digging, I'm like, oh my gosh, there's a lot of stuff out there. And some of the ways we do that, we'll go on to iTunes is a great place. So look at podcasts, see what's out there, or Amazon, look at the books that are out there, look at the current programs. And some people, when you're going through that process, they go, oh, well, there's already 10 people doing it. There's only 100 people doing it. That's good. If there were no competition, that means it's probably maybe not a good idea. Nobody wants it. You know what I mean? It's okay to have competition. But I would say, there's been I just had a client that did one on fortune telling. So in palm reading, and I kind of went, no, and I'm not knocking that at all, okay? But I'm saying I didn't think there was a big enough audience. I thought, I don't know about that. You know, I don't think there's enough people that want to learn that. I was wrong. She makes 6 figures and does very, very well. There's a lot of people that come from, like the HR client I was telling you earlier. She's an HR person. You know what I mean? And now she's teaching people like HR processes, like simplifying the process. Like you don't have to, everybody thinks when they have a company, I need to bring in an HR person. And they really don't. And so she comes in and she teaches people the simple basics that they need to know, like the payroll, just the pieces of it. So HR was kind of like, that's very, very niche-like, but it's like, who would have thought? You know what I mean? But then now she has all these people that are wanting to teach that, you know, event planning coach, someone teaching people how to plan events. And I'm like, well, most people just plan their own events. Boy, was I wrong. There's a lot of people that want to learn, how do I plan a 6-figure event? How do I monetize my event more? How do I make it a better event? How do I make it the best consumer experience ever? There's that. There's some about like horse training. You know what I mean? And again, horse training. I'm like, how many horse trainers could be online that want? So these are some of the off, and I don't say off the wall in a bad way. I just mean they're not teaching to make money online or teaching in real estate or not. It's not the common things that you hear every day. So in all of these things, I kind of went, okay, let's take a look, you know what I mean? But and every time as we went through that process, and I went through that process with them, those have all turned out to be very profitable, valuable. Those people are full-time coaches teaching these types, like horse training and things like that, you know what I mean? So dog training, you know what I mean? And it's funny because dog training, like I had one client that was doing dog training ebooks to start. It was like a dog training ebook. And it wasn't making money. He was making, $6,000 or $7,000, every 3 or 4 months, and not much at all. And so we basically made it really super niche-like, and we started doing dog training for Pomeranians, dog training for Schnauzers, dog training for Pit Bulls, dog training and it blew up, and he made 7 figures in a year. So that's the kind of stuff that, you know what I mean? But who would have thought, right? Like how many dog trainers are out there that want to learn how to train a Schnauzer? You know what I mean? Like who in the world would have thought? But that's you're asking for some of the more, less conventional type coaches. So that just goes to show it's proven to those people, it's proven to myself, and the people that are in those group coaching programs go, oh my gosh, if that guy can make, $1 million selling dog training, coaching, I could do my HR stuff or it kind of, the proof is in the concept, and people think it just gives belief. It gives inspiration and a little bit of motivation to people who maybe go, well, I don't know if I have a good idea, or I don't know if my idea is good enough. I've seen it all. There's really everybody out there. There's somebody making money on doing just about anything out there that you can imagine. So courses or coaching, there's always somebody that wants to learn the gifts and the information that you have to offer. And again, you're not developing it and spending hundreds of thousands of dollars to get it out there before you figure that out. There are some steps you take to go through to make sure and to validate it. But I'm a firm believer. Anybody could do this. My 18-year-old plays basketball, just got a full ride scholarship to college to play ball. And the number of people, Nico, that have asked me, it makes me almost go, I should do a basketball course. Or not just basketball, but how to get a full ride scholarship. How do you get a D1 or D2 full ride scholarship? I've had 100 people ask me that. And I think to myself, Maddie she could have a course. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because there is a process to it. There's a process we went through, and we've shared it with other people. Now it's working for them, and we don't have a course on it. But I'm just going to. It just goes to show some of your real life experiences can turn into a profitable venture that you can monetize. So it's fun.
Yeah, people are repeatedly asking me the same question, and that's a good sign right there. And actually, I think this is a really good transition, Chris. I know you have is it like a course validation software or an idea validation software?
We do. We absolutely do. We have a course validation software that we just give to people to kind of let them play or let them figure out. And it's really just it's something sophisticated. It's just something to get people thinking about what could I do, or how could I do. And how could I do it? It just gives people, starts them thinking and shows them some of the steps we take to validate. So I'm happy to share that with people to your listeners for free. No big deal. So if you'd like.
Yeah, that would be great. I'm sure a lot of people would love that. So we'll make that link. Yeah, I'll make that link available to them. either above or below, depending on where you're watching this.
Okay. All right. Do you want me to give that out, or would you like to just make it available?
I can just post it unless you, well, yeah, I'll probably just post it kind of like
Post it.
in the description.
Perfect. Perfect. Yeah, it just is something to kind of get people's brains rolling. You know what I mean? Or get them thinking about what they could do. It just goes to show, like, hey, if I have 3 ideas, which one might be the best idea? It helps you kind of walk through that. And it was something that we used ourselves. It was an Excel spreadsheet that we turned into we automated it just a bit to make it easier for people. But yeah, I just want to touch as many lives as we can and show people that, hey, you know, it really is possible. And after you have just a little bit of success, like I'm sure, Nico, you've experienced that, your family starts to go, dude, what are you doing? Or your friends are like, dude, what is it that you do? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or, right?
Especially being in the digital marketing niche, like, well, a lot of people, like, they don't really get it.
Yeah, they're like, how are you making money and you're not going to work, or it's a funny story real quick. I have an old neighbor that knocked on my door. Gosh, it's been years. I mean, I was maybe 5 years into my business, but she knocked on my door and she said, and she brought me this box of chocolate, and she said, honey, I see your car in the driveway every day, and I know you're here every day by yourself. I know you're just hanging out. And she said, I feel like the Lord spoke to me, and I thought I should bring you this chocolate, and I'm going to offer you a job. I'd love you to be my admin assistant in my real estate office, and I'll pay you $8 an hour. And I was like, oh my gosh, like she thinks I'm here doing nothing and I don't work. And so while I was flattered, I was like, well, I actually do work. I just work from home, and and it's funny because my husband had retired at the time. And she's like, so you make, like, it started this whole thing, opened up this big can of worms, because she was like, so wait, so you support yourself and you guys live in this house and drive this car with whatever you're doing from home. So what is it that you do? And how does that work? It just opens up a whole, but it was just so funny. I'm like, she offered me a minimum wage job working for her to be her secretary. And I'm like, that's okay. Thank you for that. But, I do just fine. You know what I mean? But people do get kind of like, what do they do? And how are you making a living, and how does it work? So it's kind of funny. It is, it's like meeting someone on a plane. They go, what do you do? I just say marketing now because it opens up a whole, people don't understand, right?
Yeah. Yep. Same here. That's hilarious though. Thank you for sharing that story.
Just funny. But yeah, there is a way, guys. There's a way and again, digital marketing is fantastic. And being a consultant, I don't think there's ever been a better time in history to make money and do what we do, and make an impact online, serve others, and make a great living doing it. So it's fun business.
Yep, absolutely. Well, I want to be respectful of your time, Criss, and I also want to thank you so much for everything you shared. Like,
sure.
Even me, just like getting excited and hearing these new ideas and the new ways that you're putting it, and hearing your experience,
sure.
It really just like gets me all excited for the coming days and the coming weeks. So
awesome.
Thank you so much for sharing everything.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I really enjoyed this. I'd love to. It's fun to talk shop, talk about what we do. So thank you for having me today.
Absolutely. I also want to make sure that people, if they want to reach out to you and get in touch, that they can do that. So will you let us know how's the best way to do that?
Sure. Just digitalcoursesrockstar.com, and contact information's on there. Feel free to reach out. I'm always happy to help people or jump on a quick call and figure out, what I mean? Sometimes it's just helping people, just a quick 10-minute call to no strings attached, just something that, just answering a few questions, or, hey, I'm doing a course, but I'm kind of stuck here or there. Again, a lot of it, sometimes I feel like a therapist. Because a lot of it's just the mindset, or just a mental hurdle that they need over, you know what I mean? Or, but I feel like, me, a small town girl, mom, if I can do this, anybody can do it. And I've taught people who I didn't even believe. I was like, I don't know, you know what I mean? But they've done it. And we've seen, you've witnessed as well, Nico, I'm sure, all the people in this space that have gone from nothing to something great, and it's anybody can do it. So yeah, feel free to reach out. I'm happy to help, and it's just digitalcoursesrockstar.com. And again, here to serve and here to help, and I love what I do. So
awesome, and that shows through with your results and as well as your attitude. So thank you so much, Criss.
Thank you, Nico. Thank you for having me today. I've really enjoyed this conversation.
Absolutely, me too. And for everyone watching, please go ahead and let us know in the comments down below what you thought, if you have any questions, and be sure to give Criss a big thank you. And I'll see you guys next time. Thanks so much for watching.